Hi everyone. So a few months ago I had done a ranking of Florence and the Machine's 6 albums on Substack. So it was a written list and I've been wanting to do a video for it because I want to get more music reviews, content up on the channel. So here we go. This is going to be my ranking of their 6 albums. Like I had said, their latest, Everybody Scream, had come out in October, and I figured best time to do it. So, coming in at number 6 is High as Hope. So, High as Hope is not a bad album. Like, I've never found a piece of Florence's music, or, the band themselves, that have been bad. I mean, obviously there are songs that I like more than others, but generally I like pretty much almost everything they put out. Hence why they've pretty much become one of my favorites, if not my favorite band currently. So I have to put something at the bottom of the list, obviously. As unfortunate as that is, something has to go in that place. And don't get me wrong, High as Hope is a beautiful piece of music. It really is. I just don't like it as much as some of the other ones. I don't find myself coming back to like the whole album to listen to it a lot as in compared to some of the other ones. This one's a little bit more laid back, and don't get me wrong, I like laid back music. I like artists whose most of their songs are kind of like that, but as in compared to their other music, it just doesn't feel as Florence and the Machine but it does have a lot of good qualities to it, right? This is much more soft, dare I say, a little feminine in a way, but not weak feminine, like, just beautiful femininity with power still, and I love that. All right, but like I said, it's just, I don't know, some of the songs don't capture me as much, both lyrically and musically. Like, I'm big on lyrics, I'm a writer, but this is music we're talking about, so music is also important in that aspect. If we were just going by lyrics, then yeah, this might be a little bit higher, but like I said, it just doesn't retain my attention as much as the other ones do, but it's still very beautiful, very emotional. Like I said, it's more softer Florence. And yeah, it's still worth the listen. June is a beautiful song. This one is... I seen them live when they were touring on this album, so it does hold a special place to some degree, and June just sounded better live, in my opinion. It's, you ever have like an album and the songs kind of feel a little dulled, but they're a little bit more lively live? That's kind of how I feel about some of these songs like June. June is a very important song. It was, written about tragedy involving people of the LGBTQ community. Florence is, a very big supporter of that and everything. And the song, I feel, is sorrowful and beautiful. And it's a great song. I just don't know about it being like the first song. I'm pretty sure it's the first song on the album. It's just a little slow opening it up, but it's definitely, like I said, an important song. It belongs on there. But I just liked it better performed live. I felt the emotion was a little bit more there. Then you have Hunger, which, that definitely picks up the pace, but it's still very poetic and everything, but we get a little bit more of a beat going on and everything. But she still has this way of incorporating those dark lyrics and that beat and everything together. I just love that. Um, Big God is a good one. That one starts out at a slow pace and then picks up. I wish it would have picked up a little bit earlier in the song, but it still really is a good song. It's basically about being ghosted by somebody, and I love that she was able to put that in a song with such fantastic music. So, at number 5, we have Dance Fever. And as I mentioned on Substack, I thought this was going to be a lot higher because there's so many songs on here that are, sorry, freaking hair was getting in my face. Anyways, the songs after King and everything, I thought this was going to be a little bit higher, and I was listening to it for a while, but then when I was comparing it to the other ones I was listening to, it's like there are songs that I really love, but as a whole it doesn't make the top. Because the songs that are really good, they're all, like I said before, she's so poetic in her writing and everything, and very personal, so the lyrics are always like a 10 out of 10. But we have to, also balance out the music and the vocals and the styles of the songs, because we are talking about music and not just writing here. So, King is a fantastic opener, I think. It starts out a little slow, then it builds up, and she just has this great flow going with it. It's just very easy to sing along to. It's a very powerful message, about as a woman feeling that she needs to choose between family and career and everything. The video is very interesting for that one too. I love Cassandra, which apparently is based around a Greek myth about Cassandra, who was a character in the story of the Trojan War. And from what I read, basically Cassandra was gifted the ability of foresight, basically, to tell the future, by, I think it was Apollo. And she was also cursed, though, that no one would believe her. So when she foresaw the Trojan War, nobody believed her. And Florence is always talking about, again, like I said, the treatment of women and how we're perceived in the world, how she is perceived, what we have to work for and everything. So I love when artists, use mythology, folklore, any kind of tales, and they put their own spin on it and their own thoughts and everything. So, yeah, I say King and Cassandra are basically two of the best songs on there. My Love, that one has a really good, it's kind of a danceable track, in my opinion. Free is a really good song. This one is an upbeat song about mental health, basically. And dare I say, it's kind of a fun track, but also sad at the same time. Morning Elvis is a good one. That one is much more of a slower one, and that one deals with, I guess you would say, kind of substance abuse in a way, comparing yourself in some ways. I wouldn't say comparing yourself to Elvis, but kind of having that figure there. The Bomb is a really good one. That one definitely, that might be the softest one on there. That one's really good. Her voice just sounds really pretty in that one. So, yeah, I love Dance Fever, but certain aspects of it I felt she did better in another album that will be coming up, obviously. So, number 3 is Lungs. So, much like Highest Hope, Lungs holds a special place because it had some of the very first Florence songs that I heard. So the very first Florence and the Machine song I ever heard, or at least the one I remember hearing, was Heavy in Your Arms, which that is on the extended version. So when I'm ranking these, I am talking about the extended versions as well. I'm not separating them because they have the same songs with just some extras on them. So I'm talking about the extended version, or like the deluxe version, whatever you want to call it. Because on the basic version, it's not on there, but it is on that one. And Heaven in Your Arms, that dark, poetic, just the way she sings, the way the music build up and everything, just kind of the passion in that song. I think it was specifically written for Twilight. Which, okay, whatever. I ain't gonna lie. Twilight had some interesting music, so I can't fault the movies on that. They had some good ones. Because I found both Florence and Licky Lee, actually I think her name is Leaky Lee, on those soundtracks. So, but, kind of moved you guys there. So, yeah. Heavy in Your Arms was the first song that I had heard from them. And I didn't look too much more into them. I had some songs here and there. But, yeah. Lungs is, I think, a great debut. I feel like their sound was kind of everywhere on this one. And, you know, that's not unusual for a band or artist, you know, that their later albums and stuff sound more uniform in a way, because when, you know, you're first starting out, you're finding your song. Like, I feel like that as a writer and everything. I feel that some of my stuff was not so good, or just kind of too eclectic in some ways. But eclectic is not bad, but again, I feel like they found their sound after this, but this was definitely building up to their sound. This definitely is more, well, they're considered an indie rock band, but this one is definitely more on the rock side. I don't know how else to explain it. It's definitely like pop rock, indie rock kind of stuff. You got Dog Days Are Over, which I know there's other songs that have the harp in it, but you definitely can hear the harp in Dog Days Are Over. And that one just, it's so energetic in a way. I just love it. The lyrics are very, the lyrics are very story-like and whimsical on this album. And I definitely feel that with the opener. They had a fantastic opener on that one. Wasn't my favorite at first, but later on it became one of my favorite songs from them. I love My Boy Builds Coffins. Again, you have not like a spooky song, but again, whimsy with a dark meaning behind it, right? Because, you know, everybody one day is going to need coffins, no matter who you are, no matter how much money you make, everybody dies. It's that basic concept. But it's just, again, a song you can sing along to. It's not like sad or anything, but yeah. Drumming Song is one of my top favorite songs from them. I just love the flow, the passion, the lyrics. I think it's all just well done. Cosmic Love is beautiful. It has one of my absolute favorite openings in any song. This is like love poetry in a way. I don't know. But if I remember correctly off the top of my head, the lyrics go, A falling star fell from your heart and landed in my eyes. I screamed aloud as it tore through them, and now it's left me blind. That is a fantastic opening line to a song. And I don't care if it's a breakup song, a love song, whatever. It's beautiful in my opinion. Yeah. Rabbit Heart is a really good one. There's just there was a lot of good songs on there. But then there's also songs on there that aren't as memorable to me. And she does have 2 covers on this one, and I do prefer artists doing their own music. So, you know, it's at number 4. But again, it's still beautiful and like a great beginning for them. Then at number 3, we have Everybody Scream. So, as I mentioned, there was some things in Dance Fever that I thought was done better on another album, and this is it. She does like a lot of low talking and everything in some of Dance Fever, which is cool. It's kind of, you know, dark, witchy sounding and everything to some degree. But I feel that was just done better on this one, and this one is kind of a witchy, naturey, dare I say, pagan-y album in some ways. This one again talks a lot about womanhood and, you know, how women are perceived versus men and everything. You know, she says, and I think it's one of the greats, it must be nice to be a man and make boring music just because you can, you know, stating that women have to work a little bit harder to be taken serious as an artist. You know, Everybody Scream, basically the opening one. This one, like I said, it's just so fun. It's got that almost spooky feel to it in some ways. But, you know, about her being burnt out, performing, and feeling that, you know, she has to perform for people, and just kind of draining on her and everything. You know, we have songs that are just about, like, spells and prayers and our connection to the earth and everything. Our bodies and everything, and how we perceive them, and how we deal with things, you know, in songs like Perfume and Milk and Crack. And this one, like I said, is just, this one definitely seems like poetry sung. And again, she does that all the time, but sometimes they're better than others with the balance of her vocals and the music that goes with it. I think she did well in Dance Fever and Highest Hope, but this one, it's just perfected in my opinion. From what I know, she wrote a lot of this after she experienced a miscarriage that I think she said was happening actually while she was performing. And she had mentioned the closest she came to creating life was death. So you definitely hear a lot of that emotion, you know, over that loss and everything. Definitely give Everybody Scream a listen. It's their newest album, and yeah, I wasn't too sure about it at first because I thought, it's a little different, but then I started listening more and I'm like, this is fantastic. Alright, and then we are down to our last 2. So at number 2, I have Ceremonial. So for the longest time, Ceremonials was actually my favorite Florence album. Even when my favorite had come out, I still love that one. But it's obviously been kicked to number 2. So, Ceremonials is very dark and powerful and booming, and it is not goth music, but it has a very gothic feel to it, in my opinion. Very cold in some ways, very eerie, and just, you would have to listen to it, but it's very powerful, very emotional. I think it's considered like chamber pop and baroque and stuff like that. So if that gives you kind of an idea of the sound of this, yeah, it's very heavy in my opinion. The opener, Only for a Night, still probably is my favorite Florence song. It's definitely at the top, and I'm so glad they performed this at the concert, because it was just fantastically done. But it starts out with a little bit of piano, and just like these not soft, maybe a little softer, a little bit more laid back vocals, and then it just kind of explodes. That's the best way to put it. It just kind of really gets into the song. And this one is powerful, dark, and sad. From what I know, this is based upon a dream she had about her grandmother, who came to her in a dream, like I said, and was giving her advice. So the lyrics, yeah, talk about being visited by a ghost, basically. And I just love the line about a ghost being so practical, because it just seems like an odd thing to happen, but dreams are odd. So definitely you need to listen to this one. It is one of their best songs. And if I remember the line to the beginning of the chorus, it went, "And I heard your voice as clear as day, and you told me that I should concentrate," or that I needed to concentrate, one of those two. "It was also strange and so surreal that a ghost could be so practical, only for a night." See, I love how she just puts like everyday things and mixes it with things from history and mythology and stuff to kind of, explain her own feelings and stuff. Shake It Out is a really good song. This one, it seems a little bit more positive in my opinion. Just shaking out all the badness and everything. Seven Devils has definitely that dark feel to it and everything. I know she mentioned something about it being possessed, not like possessed by like a demon or anything, but kind of like thoughts, emotions, that kind of thing. Never Let Me Go is another song that deals with, I guess you would say, depression and mental health issues, but this one is much more ballad-like, and it has a very, not exactly gospel or churchy, but kind of that feel to it in some ways. I think it's a beautiful song. It's very sad, but yeah, just beautifully sung. And, I think a lot of people can relate to some of the words in that song. What the Water Gave Me, that one is kind of along the lines of the poeticness, poetry song kind of thing. There's probably other ones that I'm missing, but yeah, this one, like I said, I'm going to warn you, kind of heavy. It's probably not something you're going to listen to all the time. Well, it depends on what kind of music you listen to, but if you're looking for something to just have background music, I don't know, because this is kind of one where you definitely pay attention to the lyrics and the music and just everything she's saying. Then finally, we have what I feel is their best work ever. The music is just atmospheric. The lyrics are powerful, heartbreaking, story-like, poetic, all the things I've been talking about that I love in the most perfect balance. There is not a bad song on here. There's not a bad song on any of their stuff, but this is definitely my no-skip Florence and the Machine album. I mean, it depends if I'm in the mood for the other ones. They can be no-skip too, but this one is no-skip all the time. That's how big, how blue, how beautiful. This is just the perfect balance of art, like I said, in my opinion. The album starts out with Ship to Wreck, and this one has such fun lyrics, but, you know, it's talking about, you know, her personality, maybe being a little unstable with things. You know, she says, "Did I build a ship to wreck?" And again, I just love that. I love when we have personal lyrics and everything, but we can have a fun melody with it and everything. Kind of those hidden, it's a little darker than it seems kind of songs. I love those. Especially, you know, once I pick up on it. So, yeah. Definitely a fantastic opener. Video, pretty good. I love What Kind of Man and how it starts out. Again, it just has this rainy, atmospheric kind of feel to it. I feel like this album very much represents air and water, and that makes sense because the symbol they use for this is the alchemy symbols, I think it is, for air and water. And that's definitely the feel you get with all these songs. But yeah, I definitely feel that in What Kind of Man. It just feels like this is a song you listen to like on a stormy day. It starts out very somber, I guess you would say. Kind of dramatic, just very hopeless, and then it builds up into like this kind of rock song, which at first I wasn't crazy about, the same way I wasn't too crazy about the slowness and the build up in Green Light by Lorde, but now I love both of them. Delilah is a fun song, and I know this one is about, if I remember correctly, waiting on a call from somebody, and obviously she is comparing Delilah, and was it Delilah and Samson, I think, from the Bible, but kind of like a gender switch thing. And again, she is so great at taking inspiration from religion and other things and putting her own spin on it and using it to describe things that are going on in her life. My favorite song, though, on there probably is Various Storms and Saints. That one is just calm and heartbreaking and definitely makes you almost cry. You know, it's about healing after a relationship. At least that's what I remember reading about and getting out of the song, and just kind of feeling like you're gonna break and everything is hopeless, and you know, just reminding yourself that you're gonna be okay. And yeah, that one definitely, the same thing with What Kind of Man, that one definitely has the stormy air and rain feel to it. And it's called Various Storms and Saints. Queen of Peace is a good one. I like how that one builds up and everything. Third Eye has a really great melody to it and everything. And then we have St. Jude, you know, patron saint of the lost causes and everything. So this one is kind of about hope and everything. Trying to think of what else. Caught is pretty good. Like I said, I love all the songs on here, but obviously, like any other album, there's songs that I love more than others that are definitely coming to mind first. I would definitely say my favorites on here are definitely What Kind of Man, Ship to Wreck, and Fairy Storms and Saints. Oh, and Delilah, that one's fun. How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful. That one, the title track. I love that one. Kind of long though, if I'm going to give any criticism to this. I guess it does fit for the album title with the feel of it and everything. It's just so long. I think Ship to Wreck would have been a cool title for it as well. But yeah, if I'm going to tell you to listen to anything from Florence, because I think no matter what kind of music you listen to, everybody can get something out of this one. Just because I think it is the perfect balance of different sounds and everything, with like a unifying theme of nature, I guess, or kind of the atmospheric weather kind of stuff. I'm definitely going to say this one. Like I said, there's definitely something everybody can get out of this one. So that is my ranking. I hope you liked it. And, you know, if you want to read my shorter Substack one, go ahead. I need more people on Substack. Substack is S.E. Dickinson. Thanks for watching, everybody. Tell me what your favorite Florence album is, what your favorite songs are. If I had to pick, my favorite songs overall are probably Fairy Storms and Saints, Only for a Night, Cosmic Love, Drumming Song, What Kind of Man, Ship to Wreck. That's like 6. Probably gonna do, well, I did a top 10, so they're always changing, but yeah, I love those. Anyways, bye-bye, everybody.